Okay, good morning again to all of you guys. Thank you for taking the time to meeting with us on a lovely Tuesday morning. It's about 10 a.m. on June the 7th. And today it is part 2 of our Disclosures Tuesday trainings. Um, Last week we didn't have a training because again, we were at a McFerry event at a corporate and we actually gonna go touch back from 2 weeks ago. Again, this is part 2 of disclosures. We're gonna go through almost every disclosure that we can until 11:30 at the very latest, or 12 o'clock, depending on how the class does go. But last 2 weeks ago, we discussed about addendums. We also talked about additional signature addendum, card form ASA. We also went through the AVID, AVID. We also went to virus inspection election, BIE. And we discussed about the buyer's inspection waiver, BIW. And the last one, it was contingency removal card form, CR. Keep in mind that when it comes to disclosures and any other card form that we use for our contracts, there are mostly acronyms that we use. So you definitely gotta try to memorize your acronyms for the card forms. It'll be much easier to guys fully understand and know what I'm talking about. Again, for example, an addendum, the acronym is ADM. Additional signature addendum is ASA. The agent visual inspection disclosure is AVID. The buyer's inspection election is BIE. The buyer's waiver is BIW. And the contingency removal is card form, CR. So, and again, the list goes on. So today we're gonna actually go through the TDS. Okay, TDS, that's your real estate transfer disclosure statement disclosure. Okay, and okay, let me start sharing my screen with you guys, and let me. So Rodrigo, I know you're actually already coming on board, brothers. Just keep an eye and just take note. I know you don't have access to SIP forms, but eventually you will, and all this will be familiarized once you have access to SIP forms and MLS as well.
Okay.
Thank you, brother. Okay. So can you guys see my screen? Yes, thumbs up if you guys can see my screen. Awesome, thank you. Okay, so this is our SIP forms, card forms through the California Association of Realtors. This is where we come to do our transactions when it comes to listing contracts, purchase contracts, and everything in between. So since last 2 weeks ago, again, we talked about disclosures, and today we're gonna go through the TDS. Okay. So I'm gonna pick on Brenda since Brenda had a couple of transactions under her belt. So Brenda, what is the purpose of the TDS, Brenda? Bailey, sorry. And I know you've seen it.
Transfer disclosure statement.
Yeah, what's the purpose of it?
You know what? That's a good question. I should know that.
You should know that. Of course you should.
That's what happens when you have a TC and they do everything.
Yes. I didn't want to hear that. La, 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 la.
I know. Ooh, they didn't hear that. To make sure that everything is good with the transferring of the property. I don't know.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Okay. Well, you were on the right track, but yes, let me explain to you guys what is the purpose of the TDS. And I'm not reading this. I'm just gonna summarize it in a nutshell, pretty much to you guys. But again, the real estate transfer disclosure statement, okay, card form TDS, you guys see it right there. Okay, this was revised again last year of 2021 December. The purpose of the TDS is just to give information from the seller to the buyer. Okay, what's being transferred. Okay, and also what's being actually modified, altered, or permitted or not permitted. Okay, and also what's included and not included in the sale. Now, even though it's here actually, and we go through almost we're gonna go through most likely every single paragraph of the TDS. Okay, okay, so let's start from the beginning. Okay, again, this disclosure statement concerns the real property situated, of course, in the city of Southgate, County of Los Angeles, state of California, described as 789 Main Street, South California. Now, this statement is a disclosure of the condition of the above described property in compliance with section 1102 of the Civil Code as date. Okay, and don't forget to put date, today's date. It is not a guaranteed or any kind of by the seller or by any agent representing any principal in this transaction, and is not a substitute for any inspections or warranties the principal may wish to obtain. Okay, so one, coordination with other disclosures. So now, if you have any additional disclosures that you want to actually attach or add to this report, this TDS, please do so. Okay, so again, the first one, now keep in mind when it comes to TDS, okay, please take note, the TDS and the SPQ must be filled out by the seller, okay, not by the TDS, I'm sorry, excuse me, not by the TC or by the agent yourself. So again, TDS, SPQ, and another one, which is a ESD, must be filled out by the seller, okay? So please do not go out on your own way to fill this out on your own or have your TC fill out this for them, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why is that, okay? Now, Rodrigo, I know you're new to the business, brother. Let me ask you a question, Rodrigo.
Yeah.
The home that you live right now, Rodrigo. Now, let me ask you, do you know, now who would have more knowledge about the home you live right now yourself? Is it you or me, the agent? Who would have full knowledge about the home?
The agent.
The home you live right now?
Yes.
How would I have more knowledge?
Oh, I thought you meant like when I first got the home, or
No.
when
Right now, you own the property.
Oh, me.
Who has more knowledge about the home
Me.
that you live in? You do, right? So you know what's going on around the four walls between your house, right? You know if there's any noises, is anything cracked, broken, damaged, leaking, whatever, right? Stains, etc. Right?
Right.
So now, yeah, maybe if you're thinking about to want to hire me as an agent to get your home sold, right? Maybe yeah, I stop by your house, seen it, but again, I never lived in the property, right? I hadn't, and you have lived there from Monday to Sunday, maybe 1 month to 1 year to 10 years, who knows what. So that's why this is the reason why we want the sellers to fill out these forms, because they have the full knowledge and comprehensive when it comes to the property themselves. Okay. Now, when it comes to adding reports, okay, now, and this is why this part is great, is shaded grayed out, because again, I won't be able to fill any blanks here. Only if it's like right here, you can, but like if it's straight out, I can't even click my cursor like that, because again, this has to be done either by hand, you know, or be done by DocuSign, ZipLogic, or DigiSign. Okay, either of those electronic signatures forms. So again, any inspection report complete pursuant to the contract of sale receipt for deposit, additional inspection reports or disclosures, or no substitute disclosures for this transfer. Okay, so you need to select one of three. Okay, so any so would this be the first one? Any inspection reports? Maybe this could be actually a point of sale. We know that Compton, Southgate, Linwood, Long Beach, Azusa, and any other cities that does require a city pre-sale inspection report, right? Then you could actually add it here as well. So the seller will definitely have to select the first box right here, okay? Or any additional inspection reports or disclosures. So let me ask you, what any additional reports or inspection disclosures can be added to this TDS that you guys can actually think of?
Would it be termite?
Yes, that could be one of them.
I
Anything
remember
else?
this form now. I remember.
Oh, now you do. Oh, now you do. Well, too late, Brenda. Just kidding. Yeah. So what else besides termite report? Anything else? They could actually the seller can add to this TDS.
In HD?
In HD, yes. What about maybe an appraisal report? What about a home inspection report? Right? A septic tank report. Right? Roofer. Again, any report that was probably at one point either done from the previous buyer who was buying this property and maybe that canceled, or maybe the seller himself, right, hired an inspector and to conduct any inspections on his property. That could be another anything else they want to attach as well, or unless there's no substitute disclosure for this transfer, right? So again, right here, right? Now, the seller discloses the following information with the knowledge that even though this is not a guarantee, prospective buyers may rely on this information in deciding whether and on what terms to purchase the subject property. Seller hereby authorizes any agent representing any principals in this transaction to provide a copy of the statement to any person or entity in connection with the actual or anticipated sale of the property. So again, this TDS must be provided to anybody who is interested in buying the property. Okay. But again, it's not what? It's not guaranteed, right? So keep that in mind. This is the key. It's not a guarantee, okay, that all this might stay, might not stay, is working or not working, okay? Now, the following are representations made by the sellers and are not made, okay, and not representation by the agents, if any. Thus, information is a disclosure and is not intended to be part of any contract between the buyer and seller, right? So now, seller, okay? Now, please keep in mind that some investors, okay, I don't know why they think they're superior to the typical common seller, and some investors feel the need, or they feel that they shouldn't use the TDS. They believe they're exempt from completing a TDS. Why is that? Because they never live in the property and they're flipping the property. But guess what? No one is exempt from filling out this TDS. The only persons or sellers who might be exempt, okay, is in a probate sale and a trust sale. Now, the trust sale, the only way that could be an exempt if the trustees, which were the beneficiaries, are selling the property. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so let's say, for example, going back to you, Rodrigo, your house is in a trust sale, right? You have a trust in your home, right? But again, you and your wife are still living. Thank God, you're still, human beings, you're still alive, right? Now, God forbid, your children, you guys pass away, and now your children are beneficiaries to that home. You pass on the property to your children, right? So now they're the trustees to the trust. So now they're exempt because, again, yes, they never have lived in the property. So yes, they are exempt to fill out this form. But guess what? They need to, instead of actually to fill out the TDS, they need to fill out the card form ESD, exempt seller disclosure. Okay, so the ESD will replace the TDS, but they still need to fill out that form. Okay, so no one is exempt to fill out this form unless you're a trust or a probate. So who cares if you're an investor? Who cares if you're a seller who never has lived in the property and you probably bought it and you rented it for the rest of your time? Doesn't matter. They need to fill out to the best of their knowledge, regardless if they have lived there or not lived there. Okay. So now the first question is, seller is or is not occupying the property? Okay. So most likely I'm going to pick on you, Rodrigo. I'm going to say yes, you are living in the property, right, Rodrigo? Okay. Now, Rodrigo, okay, so I'm gonna help since I cannot fill this in, okay. So what is a range, Rodrigo?
A range?
Yes, sir.
It's a measure of distance.
You're right. Well, in real estate terms, it's not the point of distance.
Oh, okay.
It's the actual stove.
Oh God, I'm like meets and bounds.
It's okay, brother. I know. It always throws people off. It's okay. Let's see. Okay, and Carlos, you also is asking, what about REO properties? Same thing. Carlos, the REO actually must be also filled out as well. Okay. What are rain gutters? Rafael, we'll go through that once we go through the rain gutters. Rafa, okay, hold on, just hold on. Let's go line by line because I want you guys to fully understand what actually the items, what they mean. Okay. So going back to you, Rodrigo, yeah, the range is not the distance between something, right? No, it's the actual stove. Okay, keep that in mind. It's a stove. The oven, of course, we know it's an oven, right? We bake cookies and cakes and everything else. Now, Rodrigo, do you have an oven in your home?
Yes.
Stove? Okay, so yes, yes. How about a microwave?
Yes.
How about a dishwasher?
Yes.
What about a trash compactor?
No.
Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let me emphasize what is a trash compactor. Okay, it's an actual disposal that you put trash. It was compress the trash, right, to make it small, and you can actually make it and trash it out. Okay. What about a garbage disposal? Not to be confused with trash compactor.
Yes.
Okay, the garbage disposal, okay, is the actual drain when you have a sink, you know, the actual food, you know, the peels and for the food, it goes to the garbage disposal. That's the actual motor underneath the actual sink. Okay, that's
Yes.
your garbage disposal right there. What about washer and dryer hookups? Hookups, not appliances. Washer and dryer hookups.
No.
No, okay, so you don't have. Okay, so and again, people think, well, appliances, no, it's hookups. They need to read. Okay, now rain gutters.
Yes.
Okay, the rain gutters. The rain gutters is okay for Mr. Rafael who was asking that question. The rain gutters is the actual plastic. It's actually on the eave, right, on the actual roof, right, for the water to run through the side and drain on the side of the actual houses. Okay, let me give you a picture just in case I'm not maybe explaining to myself. Let me go to my Chrome and open another window. So can actually rain gutter. And Rafa, this is your rain gutter, Rafa, right here. Okay, right there. Okay, it's an actually like plastic or aluminum, whatever, and it's actually right at the eave, right, for the water to run and go to the side. So when you walk out of from your door, the water doesn't come on your face or your head, right? That's what it is. Okay, that's a rain gutter. All right, continue. What about any burglar alarms? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
What about carbon monoxide devices?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Freddy,
Yes, Mr. Ruben.
I got a question. So let me ask you, so on this DDS or anything that you mark, anything that you check mark, supposed to stay or?
No, Ruben. This is just actually to let the buyer be aware what is there at the present moment. Keep in mind that anything that's negotiated, right, it's going to be on the offer, on the RPA.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
whatever
because I was, like the water softener, sometimes they just, they have it, but they want to take it with them.
Correct, yes.
Because they have a contract with a company and, the company is going to help them to move it out to the new property. So, I mean, they can still check mark, but we need to, of course, make
address it in
sure
the
to
offer or counter
disclose
offer.
that it's not going to stay, right?
Exactly, yeah. So if you're helping the sellers in this case, you're definitely gonna make it actually address it in your counter offer, Ruben.
Okay.
That water softener is not part of the sale.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Got you. But it just you need to check mark it, right?
Yeah, because it's there.
Okay. Got it.
Even though even though it is actually not part of the sale, right?
Yeah.
Maybe at the last moment, again the buyer came back to say, hey, you know what? I'll give you 5,000 for it. I'll buy it right now. And you know, okay, take it, right?
Got it.
So yeah. So regardless what happens, you still need to check it off that it's there, right? And if it's not coming, if it's not part of the sale, then yes, address it.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Yes, Brenda Bailey.
Just to be clear, the seller is to check off everything on this list that's going to stay in the house, correct?
No. The seller needs to check off everything that is there at the present moment.
That is there in the house, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay.
Regardless if it's staying or not staying.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So if it's staying, okay. If it's not staying, doesn't matter. They still need to check every single item or box, regardless if it's staying or not staying. If it's part of the sale or not part of the sale.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. Now, when it comes to carbon monoxide devices, who knows how many do we need to have on every home?
One in every room? No.
No.
It's one on each. If the property it's only one level, it's only one. But if it's like a 2 levels, 2 of them.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So yeah. So when it comes to carbon monoxide devices, okay. Thank you, Ruben, for that. Yes, you need to have one per level. Okay. So if it's 2-story home, you need to have 2. Now, most likely they have them on the hallways. Okay. And that's the best place to have them, on the hallways or the living room. Okay. Okay. Now, so what about smoke detectors? It's very different from the carbon monoxide. How many do we need to have on those?
One in each.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
one in each room.
One in each bedroom. Okay.
Mhm.
Including the hallway. And please do not put them in the kitchen.
You're gonna be setting it off every day.
Exactly. Yeah, and people think that, you know what, isn't that the best place to have them in the kitchen? No. And why the bedrooms and why the hallway? Because most likely you sleep in the bedrooms, correct? And you're sleeping in the night. And the hallway is going to be, if there's actually any smoke, right? Eventually go through the hallways, it's going to be the first alarm, it's going to beep. And that doesn't wake you up. If it goes into your room, that's going to wake you up, right? Now, so again, should we have them on living rooms? No. Should we have them on kitchens? No. How about dining sets? No. Because again, you don't sleep on those items. You don't sleep on those rooms, right? And that's very common. Again, you sleep on your bedrooms. That's why. Okay. So again, you need to have one per floor, hallways, and each bedroom. Eddie, you have a question, Eddie?
No.
Okay, good. Okay. Now, what about the fire alarm? Not to be confused with the smoke detector. What is a fire alarm?
Isn't that usually just one central alarm for like fire?
Yeah. So most likely it's a bell. It's mostly either outside your home, right? Especially in your homes, have fire alarms. So in case there's fire, right? It's gonna trigger the fire alarm bell, right? There's fire in this home. So most likely they're outside your home. Okay. Again, TV antennas, pretty much they're outdated nowadays, right? Those little either the ones that are actually on top of your roof. But now satellite dish, right? Those are common, right? DirecTV, Dish Network, and any other satellite dish, right? What about intercom? It's a way to communicate within your house, right? You might have actually a little intercoms in each bedroom, the kitchen, right? That's it, the actual intercom we're talking about, okay? Central heating, okay? Maybe you do have a central heating, but not central air, right? So look at your home. Have you got air ducts, right? Now you have, what about do you have central air AC as well, right? What about evaporator coolers? What are those? Does anybody have any idea what? Huh?
What are those?
What are those, right? Okay, good. So the evaporator coolers are pretty much it's like an exhaust fan that will suck the heat from your home, and then most likely they're in the hallways as well. Okay. Now they're pretty loud and noisy. Okay. So it's like exhaust fans, and you actually you click it and it opens like the vents, and it sucks air, the heat, pretty much. Okay. Next one. Any wall, window, air conditioning. Okay.
Freddy,
What?
I think Brenda had a question.
Oh yeah, Brenda. I'm sorry.
Is that the sorry to go back, the evaporator coolers, is that like where there's one on top of the stove in the kitchen?
No, that's an exhaust fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Thanks.
so your hood on top of your stove, that's an actual exhaust fan, and those are mostly here, right on the kitchen. And sometimes if you don't have a hood on top of your stove, you might have an exhaust on the actual ceiling as well, right? And also on the bathrooms as well. So you can have it on your kitchen and the bathroom. It's a little motor that will suck, okay, in the actual kitchen that will suck the actual heat, right? And the bathroom will suck the humidity, right? And the bad odors when you go to that, right? That's well, right?
Yeah.
That's what, right?
I guess I never really knew the name for that one as well.
Yeah, the exhaust fans, right?
Okay, thanks.
My pleasure, Mia. Thank you. Okay, so again, going back to any wall or window air conditioning, right? If you don't have any central heating or air, right? Now, sprinklers. Okay, now, these sprinklers, we're talking about what sprinklers? The gardening sprinklers or the actual fire sprinklers?
The home sprinklers.
From the lawn, okay?
Oh, okay.
Yes. Okay, so yeah. What, okay, now do you have a public sewer system? Okay. Now, keep in mind, folks, okay, now, and this is why it's very crucial to always have the seller fill out this form for themselves, okay? In the past, there's been cases that this has been left blanked out, okay? So let's go to the Inland Empire, okay? Over there by Victorville, Hesperia, Apple Valley, right? Some homes, some properties over there do not have any public sewer system, and they have septic tanks. Now, what is the difference between the public sewer system and a septic tank? Does anybody know?
A septic tank is like this huge tank that's usually like in the backyard. I've
Yes.
seen one. And the public sewage system is like everybody's sewage goes to the same area.
Exactly, yes, and that's correct, Brenda, yes. So that's why, okay, we definitely need to, because again, going back to the same question, who will know or who had best knowledge of that home if it has a sewer system or a septic tank, right? The seller will, right? And if this is left blank, okay, and it happened in the past that the sellers left it blank, okay, and of course the buyer didn't go through it. And again, typical agents, sign here, sign there, initial here, nice sign over there. They didn't go through it. Guess what? They moved in. And again, thinking that, okay, we live in LA, you know, it's very common to have sewers in our homes, right? Well, they moved to the Inland Empire. Guess what? They have a septic tank, not knowing it was filled to the max, right? And guess what? Now they had to pay. And they came back to sue the agents and the seller for not disclosing there was a septic tank. Okay, let me play a little video for you guys. Kind of funny, but it's kind of cool. Okay, so I guess and fully understand what is a septic tank in case you're still kind of lost. Okay, hold on. Let me go back to my screen here. Oops. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, Brenda.
Is there a preference between public sewer and system? Public sewer system or septic tank? Is there like, is one better than the other?
Well, let's go watch this video, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's fine. I'll go back to your answer right now. Can you see the video? Yes? Okay, here it goes, okay? Can you hear it?
No, I can't
No
hear.
sound. No sound.
No sound. Okay. Let's go back to it. Yes?
It's just kind of low.
It's just very low, yeah.
It's low.
Hold on. Just get this. What's that working for me? That's so strange. Okay, there you go.
Hey, Jack, I don't quite know what happened back at the tuck shop. But look, if I've given you the wrong impression regarding Pam in any way, I'm sorry, okay? I have nothing but the best intentions with Pam.
Can you hear it?
It's
Yeah.
better.
Okay.
And I just, actually, there's something in the suitcase here that I'm planning on giving her that I think symbolizes the level of my commitment to her. And I wouldn't feel right asking her to wear it without her father's permission. Jack.
Did you flush this toilet?
Listen.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe Jinx flushed it. I saw little Jinxie come in last night, and he took a little, squatted, relieved himself.
Jinx knows not to use that toilet. And even if he did, he'd never flush it.
What does it matter?
The matter, Greg, RN, is that when this toilet is flushed, it runs. And when you have a septic tank that's nearly full and a toilet that's been running all night, then you could have a hell of a problem.
Mr. Burns.
Nice stench. You're really on a roll there, bud.
Now you listen to me. In 20 hours, I'm having a wedding here, so I need my cesspool pumped now. Not tomorrow, now.
Dad, what's going on? Oh my God.
What's that smell?
That smell, Bob, is our shit. Fokker flushed the toilet in the den, so the septic tank is overflowing.
Jack, I told you it wasn't me. It was Jinx.
Fokker, I'm not going to tell you again. Jinx cannot flush the toilet. He's a cat, for Christ's sakes.
The animal doesn't even have thumbs, Fokker. Hey, look at this. Kevo, over by the tree, right?
No, 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 not on the lawn. Stay where you are. Not on the lawn. No, 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 no.
What the heck?
That was disgusting.
So what do you guys think of that, huh?
Now we know what a septic tank is.
Now you know, right? So, Brenda, so that's the difference between having a septic tank and a sewer system. So what happens when the septic tank, you have an actual tank underneath your home, right? Underneath your backyard or even underneath your home as well. And if that septic tank gives way, yes, you will have issues. And keep in mind that septic tanks are somewhat old, right? And they will crack. They will crack with time. And eventually, that other good stuff is gonna go through the soil, and you're gonna be fertilizing your backyard. So yeah, and that's why you definitely gotta have a septic certification that is okay to continuously, that is still in good conditions as well. And if it's not, guess what? They gotta dig it and put a new tank and remove the old one. So yeah, so that's what's very crucial to have your sellers and your buyers to go through the TDS. Because again, if it's septic tank, they need to be aware, what are they buying? And especially when people who have no knowledge about septic tanks, and depending on how the usage, right? Depending on how many people live in the property, right? You could definitely go, that septic tank can be filled out in a week or a month, who knows, right? Because again, all your water goes through that. Again, the water you use for washing dishes, laundry, bathroom, everything. So all that goes through there. When it drains, it goes into that tank, the reservoir or septic tank. So you get it's okay. Now, another story that actually I came aware, a lady by herself living in Corona for the past 10 years without having any knowledge she had a septic tank. Because again, she was just herself. And I guess that tank never filled out. And until the time that she would sell, wait a minute, you have yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So please, guys, please keep an eye on your TDS. Okay. And regardless if you're here or out of the area, again, I know Housing the Heights, La Habra Heights has some sort of actually areas that also have septic tanks. La Puente. Okay, so be very careful with the TDS.
West Covina.
Okay, there you go, West Covina.
For the client
Baldwin
doesn't
Park.
septic tank.
I'm sorry.
In certain situations where the client doesn't know that they have a septic tank, how will we go about that? They just leave it blank because they don't know, they don't have knowledge of that, or?
Well, let me ask you, Rodrigo. How can you not know?
Well, certain situation, like the situation you said,
Yeah. Well, it's possible, right? But then again, you got to be very okay. Yes, I've been here for the past year or so, and I have no knowledge, right? Yeah, it's just myself. Yeah, I hardly use water. I travel here and there. I'm mostly home, but again, yeah, you definitely got to be careful. Now, see, because if they don't know, most likely your neighbors next door might know. And they will tell. There's a hey, did you know that there's no sewer line here? So you gotta be careful with that. All right, let's go back to our yes. All right, cool. So that's your public, and so there you go. That's your answer, Brenda. So the difference between one and the other. Now, sub pump. What is a sub pump?
It's a thing that's in the basements that sucks up the water that's coming through the foundation.
Yes.
Like
yes.
I had one in my old house in Ohio.
Yeah.
So it's like a hole in the floor, and there's like the pump is in the floor in the hole, and then excess water that would come from rain into like the side that would not come down the spouts would.
Yeah. So usually you pump water on the actual ground itself.
Yeah.
Okay, now for Ruben's question, what about a water softener? Well, again, a water softener, it softens the water, right? And regardless if it's part of the cell or not, okay, it's there. Patio or decking, right? Again, most likely the wood decks here and there. What about a built-in barbecue, right? Maybe that's how you have a built-in barbecue. A gazebo as well. Many security gates. Garages, right? Are they attached or not attached as well? Okay, are they attached or not attached? The garages, right? Now, if you don't have a garage, do they have a carport? Right? Now, going back to the garage, do they have any automatic garage door openers? Right? And how many remotes do they have as well? Yes, okay, and then I'm gonna select it here. 1, 2. Sauna. What's a sauna?
Hey, Freddy, I got a question.
Yeah, Ruben, of course, go ahead.
Okay, so let's say that by mistake, the sellers, they mark that they have automatic garage opener.
Okay.
And they don't.
You don't.
So the buyers, they find out on the TDS, are the sellers supposed to go and pay for the door?
No. So let me ask. So are you saying that after the escrow closes? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Let's say that they close escrow and then they find out the seller mark that there is a garage opener, and they go to do the final walk on the property and they find out that it's not.
Okay.
And because the seller mark on the TDS that the garage opener was there, supposed to be there, and is not.
Okay.
Are they obligated to install a garage opener?
It depends how the case the transaction is being handled, Ruben, right? Again, it could be an honest mistake, right? But it could be maybe they did remove the automatic garage.
I mean, legally, are they obligated to install the garage opener?
Yes and no. Again, legally, yes, it should be, because again, if they put it there, right, and they didn't make any corrections by an addendum, right?
Yeah.
And yes, because now they're claiming they have an automatic garage door opener. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because again, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, because again, because I'm assuming the buyers. Well, again, if it's going based by the TDS, right? Now keep in mind. Okay, now keep in mind. okay, even though there's a TDS, right? But when the buyer conducts their home inspection, right? Most likely that inspector is going to go into the garage, and most likely that inspector also is going to check for that the automatic garage door opener. He's going to test it out as well, because you need to have sensors on an actual garage door opener. For any children that goes to the garage, when it's coming down, it's going to trigger the sensors, and the garage is going to go back up. Ruben, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Okay. Yeah.
So if on the report, okay, there's no such thing of any automatic garage door openers, then regardless what it was put on the TDS, now the buyer is fully aware there's no automatic garage door opener. But if the buyer does not conduct a home inspection, then most likely the seller might be liable to pay for that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Welcome. Yes, Rafa, you raised your hand, brother?
Yeah. What in the built-in barbecue if they have one?
What about it, Rafa?
Sometimes some sellers put like a built-in barbecue. Sometimes I don't know if it's like a smart or stupid question, but sometimes they put like a brasero type barbecue.
Huh?
Or like a gas or charcoal barbecue.
Now, are you talking about those portable ones?
Yes.
Well, again, keep in mind that, if the buyer sees, because buyers have knowledge what's going on in the property. Again, they should walk away, they should walk into the home and everything else, and they see an actual portable barbecue and then an actual built-in, right? And then of course they should have an idea as well. And same thing, if it is a built-in barbecue, right? Most likely the home inspector will test the built-in barbecue, because again, either that built-in barbecue, most likely if it's charcoal or gas operated, right, it's gonna have to be tested as well.
And also I said brasero because sometimes I don't know if there's a lot of Argentines or Uruguayans in California, but because they have their their when they do their asados.
Right.
And they have it built in.
Yeah. So again, all that is going to be most likely the inspector will check that out, right? It's going to review all that. Okay. So yeah, again, very good questions from both of you guys. Again, when it comes to the built-in barbecue and including the automatic garage door openers. Okay. But again, if the buyer becomes aware from any other report, hey, guess what? There's no automatic garage door openers, or there's no built-in barbecue, then he already has some knowledge that yes, it was an honest mistake by the seller by putting an automatic garage door openers or a built-in barbecue. Okay. So sauna, what is a sauna?
Sauna is like a heat room.
Steam room. Right. Yeah. Okay. Now, hot tub spa. Okay. Now, when it comes to a hot tub or a spa, okay, right away we think jacuzzi. Okay. Please be very careful. Okay. The jacuzzi word should be removed from your vocabulary in real estate. Eddie, why is that, Eddie?
It's a brand.
It's a brand. Okay. So the jacuzzi is an actual brand, like Lexus, like Mercedes, like Mazda. Okay. So you're saying if you're saying there's a jacuzzi tub, you're saying there's a branded a jacuzzi branded tub in that home. So don't use jacuzzi, use spa. Okay, so please. Okay. Now a hot tub, it could be the actual the ones that are actually standing above the actual ground, or a spa could be actually underneath the home, right? Either one. Now a locking safety cover, right? That's to for any children or child, right, to be safe or anything that hopefully they don't drown, right? And I know there's a lot of cases in our country that children under 3, they do drown for not able to swim or get out of the pool or spa, right? All right, pool. Okay, when it comes to a pool, any child restraint barrier. Now, keep in mind when it comes to FHA purchases, okay, when it comes to appraisals, an NFHA buying, okay, the pool must have either a gate, something gated or something like a barrier for any child or anyone, not just a child, or anyone to go towards the pool. And I've seen in many cases that if that pool doesn't have any barriers around it, it will not qualify. Please keep that in mind. So most likely you will have to go conventional. Okay. Now, I don't know why it's a difference. Okay, well, if it's a buyer conventional, again, I believe they should go across the board, regardless of what type of loan it is. But again, FHA, they're more stricter when it comes to getting those loan approvals. Okay. So again, does the pool have any child restraint barrier? Okay. Again, the pool or spa heater is if it's gas, solar, or electric. Okay. Any water heaters. Okay. And the water heaters, we're talking about any like the gas heaters at home, right? Other gas, other solar, other electric. Any water supply, same thing here, right? Is it through a city, through a well, or a private utility, or other, right? And this also sometimes has been left blank as well. Okay, so please make sure to fill out. Okay, because again, the owner knows if he's getting the water from the well, or if it's been some pump from the ground, or any oasis in the near home, that property, right? Or a well or a city, right? Gas supply, is it utility or bottled, right? Or propane tank, right? How are they getting their gas supply? And what about any window screens? Most of us, all of us have window screens in our homes. It's to keep the fly, mosquitoes, or any flying object, right? Come onto our home, right? Enter our home, right? What about any window security bars, right? Not to be confused with window screens, okay? The window security bars are the ones that you feel like you're in jail in your home, right? Now, do they have a quick release mechanism on bedrooms in windows, right? Now, those quick release mechanisms, they're either next to the window, they little latch, and they release the actual on the security bars, or this little step on right beneath the window, you step onto it, and they'll release the actual security bar window as well. Okay, so does it have them? Yes or no? And same thing goes for the FHA. Okay, if you have that home has any window security bars and there's no quick release mechanisms, that home will not qualify for FHA. Okay, because again, in case of a fire, okay, most likely that person, God forbid, they will not be able to really get out from that bedroom. Okay, so it needs to have the quick release mechanisms, okay, as well. Any water conserving plumbing fixtures? What are those? Does anybody have an idea what are the actual water conserving plumbing fixtures? Anybody wants to take a guess?
Low flow toilets.
Low flow toilets, low flow shower heads, low flow water fixtures. Okay, and in the city of LA, we go. If you've done a sale in LA, you're very familiar with the 9A report. Okay, thus that requires low flow toilets, low flow shower heads, and low flow water fixtures. Okay, so when it comes to the low flow toilets, I believe they need to flush no more than 1.6 liters of water, not gallons, liters, right? And same thing with the shower heads as well. Okay, so have you done any changes or any upgrades to your home when it comes to any water conserving plumbing fixtures as well? Okay, so
Freddy.
any questions on the actual items from range to the water conserving fixtures? Any questions so far? And yes, Brenda?
Conserving plumbing fixtures. I said, it does say plumbing fixtures, but then now you know that with the water shortage and everything.
Yes, hon.
So now would that include the water conserving mechanisms that they're putting on their sprinklers in their yards?
Yes, everything.
Okay.
When you refer to range, just because that one threw me off, range will always refer to stove, or is it anything that's similar to a stove?
It could be a stove, it could be a stove top as well. Yes. Yes, Rodrigo.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, you're welcome, sir. Okay, now going to the exhaust fans, okay? And again, we said there's mostly in the kitchens, right? And bathrooms. And sometimes you might find another one in a laundry room as well. Okay. What about 220 volt wiring? What is it? What is a 220 volt?
Usually for the washer.
Washer, a stove, electric stove.
Appliances, yeah.
Right. So those most likely could be in the kitchen, laundry room, and also in the garage. If you have I was gonna say a solar car. If you have an electric car, right, they need to get charged with a 220 volt to get a higher capacity when it comes to recharging your cars, right? So again, they're either in the kitchen for the electric stove, they're in the laundry room for appliances, in the garage as well. Okay. Fireplaces, right? And most likely find them in where? Living rooms, family rooms, master bedrooms, outside in the patio, right? So they need to address where in case they have fireplaces, right? What about any gas starter? Again, this is pretty old school, okay? It's not very common nowadays. Gas starter is where you ignite the pilot from the outside, okay? And especially are mostly on older homes, like in the 20s, early 1910s, right? You actually ignite the pilot from the outside, right, to ignite your home for the gas and everything. So again, this is not very common. Roof, I seen actually, again, I seen all this. I've seen exhaust, fireplaces, even the 220 amp or blanked, including the type of roof, right? So when it comes to the roof, right, there are different types of roofs, right? There are tile roofs, clay, composition, and wood roofs, right? So now, let me ask you, Rodrigo, what type of roof do you have in your home, Rodrigo?
Roof, I don't know the different roof types.
Okay, so maybe now does it have like a clay or tile roof?
No, it's like shelving.
Like layers?
Yeah.
Okay, so that most likely be a composition roof.
Composition, okay.
Okay, so let me give you the type of roofs that we have or there's out there, okay? Actually, I'm giving, so types. And here you are, guys. So here's your type of roofs, right? Does yours look like this here, Rodrigo? Like
right.
That? Okay, yeah. Okay. There's actually straw roofs. Yeah. Okay, so there's different types of, right? There's asphalt, metal, concrete, right? Wood shake, concrete, vinyl, and so on, right? But again, most likely you have a typical, in a lot of homes, you might find composition roofs, right? And maybe tile, right? So keep that in mind. All right, go back to our, okay. And now approximately what is the age of that roof?
Like when the last time it was serviced?
Or change?
Maybe 15 years.
Okay, 15 years, approximately. It's approximately, right? Now, and this has been left. Now, again, you might have no knowledge as well, and you can put unknown. Okay, and that's valid, unknown. Okay, yeah, actually, I've been here for the past year, right? I just bought it. I'm gonna sell it again, and the roof was already there, so I have no knowledge, unknown. But they should have knowledge about the type of roof they have. Now, let me ask you, what if you have a tile roof, right? And that home was built in 2021. How is that roof? Most likely 1 year, right? So yeah, okay, yeah, good. Any other you want to disclose? It goes here, other, yes. Okay, now, here it is. Are there, to the best of your seller's knowledge, any of the above that are not operating, right, condition? Yes or no? If yes, then describe. Attach additional sheets if necessary, right? So now it's saying, is anything from the above in working condition, yes or no, or operated, yes or no, right? So they gotta put yes or no. If it's yes, then if it's not operating, right, or not working, yes, then why, which is are not working, right? This, okay, well, maybe the actual for, let's say the actual water softener is not operating conditions, right? It's not working. It's there, but it's not working. We never use it for, it's been here since we bought the property, it's never had work and we never fixed it. Now, if it's no, then leave it alone. Okay, so they always need to describe if it's not operating or not working. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Okay, and do not leave it blank. So any questions on page 1? Okay, let's go to the number, page 2. Okay, are you the seller aware of any significant defects, malfunctions, if any of the following? Yes or no? If yes, check, right? So this is on the spaces below. When it comes to interior walls, ceilings, floors, exterior walls, insulations, roofs, windows, doors, foundations, slabs, driveways, sidewalks, walls and fences, electrical systems, plumbing, sewer, septic, or other structural components. Okay, so again, any defects, malfunctions, right, inside the walls, in the ceilings, on the floors, okay, any exterior of the walls, insulations, the roof, windows, right, need to disclose, right, and they need more space, then add more sheets to it, right? So that again, they always need to, if it's a yes, they need to describe what it is wrong with the, okay, the issues. Okay, so please do not let your seller, okay, if they put yes on anything here, if you see it yes, Mr. Seller, you know what, you forgot to describe here, right there. Can you please let me know or let us know what is wrong with the property? Okay, now there's 16 questions here on section C, right? Now, are you the seller aware of any of the following? Okay, and again, any substance, material, or products which may be an environmental hazard, such as, but not limited to, asbestos, formaldehyde, radon gas, lead-based paint, mold, fuel, or chemical storage tanks, or contaminated soil or water on the subject property. Yes or no? Okay, and if yes, they need to, again, to explain what it is, okay, on every item. Now, for you guys who are in this class, okay, mold. See the word mold? Okay, how can you determine, or how can you know if there's any mold in your home or any home? Who wants to take a guess?
You can smell or see it. Oh, sorry.
No, you could go.
Oh, Brenda.
I was gonna say you can smell or see it.
You can smell or see it. Okay. What about you, Rodrigo?
You could start to see it, like, if you have popcorn ceilings, that's like, it's possible that you could have that as well.
Okay. So, well, you guys are both wrong. Sorry, that's how it is. The only way you guys can determine if that substance or that gooey, mushy, greenish, black stain is mold, okay, it needs to be tested in the lab. You cannot suggest, you cannot say or believe that it's mold without being tested. Okay, so I want you guys to please remove that mold word from your head. And just because you see it on your bathrooms, just because you see it on the kitchen, just because you see it on the fixture, the sink, it's mold. Yeah, again, typically, yes, it is mold. But please do not say it to your buyer or to your seller that they have mold.
Freddie, but this is being filled out by the seller.
Correct, yes. Yes.
So if they check yes, are you going to question them?
No, I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to, no, but again, if the buyer sees this, then I would definitely recommend it for them to do an actual mold test through the lab. Because again, maybe it's just dirt that just piled up. Like maybe like Rodrigo said, on your popcorn ceiling, You know, eventually it's probably got its stain is dirt, right? It could be just be dirt or grease that piles up.
So if you see them filling this out and they say, oh yeah, I got mold in the bathroom, do you tell them, are you sure it's mold? Have you gotten it tested?
I would question it, yes.
In that case, would you have to disclose it at all if you're not sure?
Well, again, it's not up to us to disclose. It's up to the seller to disclose, right? But again, since this is a broad question here, right? Then of course you need to identify, okay, well, you know, I believe there's mold underneath my sink on number one. Because again, since it's so vaguely the question, right, it's asking of any products that may be environmental hazards to write to us, right? Again, to not limit to red and gas, lead-based paint, mold, fuel, chemical storage tanks, right? So which one is it? So definitely gotta address which one it is that they think is an environmental hazard to us or to them, right? But again, but if you see it, for example, if you're doing your little visual inspection on the property, right? And we talked this about 2 weeks ago, right? If you're doing your visual inspection on the property and you see any stains on the bathroom, kitchen, or anywhere else that you believe that is mold, please do not use that word on your disclosures on yourself to disclose. They know there's mold on the ceiling, there's mold in the bathroom. No. Just there's a stain on ceiling, stain on bathroom, or stain underneath the sink. That's it. Now, have the home inspector, right, recommend for them to test it for mold, right? So yeah, because again, if you say that it's mold, you're a chemist. Now you're putting yourself in a gray area. Okay, wait a minute. How do you know that's mold, Rodrigo? Did you test it out? Are you a chemist? Right? Because if you tested it, give us the actual results of the report that it shows that it's mold.
Right.
And
yeah,
yeah,
if trouble of trying to remove the mold and it's not mold, then you'd have it.
Exactly. Yeah, because again, that could jeopardize your sale on a purchase. Well, you know, it has mold, forget it. I'm gonna cancel. That's it. Okay, so yeah. So please, that word, remove it from your vocabulary. Okay, any features on the property shared in common with adjoining landowners, such as walls, fences, and driveways, whose is use responsibility for maintain may have an effect on the subject property. Okay, this is very common. All of us here have common walls. We have fences, we have walls, we have iron gates, right, that are dividing our property line from the neighbor. And this always is no. I don't know why. It should be a yes. All of us have common walls from our neighbors, right? There's a brick wall, there's a wood fence, iron fence, whatever that is. There's something that is dividing the common, right? Shared common adjoining landowners, right? Okay, now any encroachments, easements, or similar matters that may affect your interest in the subject property. Okay, so what are encroachments? What are easements? Or any similar matters they may affect the interest of your property?
Encroachments are like you know, things that are in your land that belong to other people.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you. So let's say your neighbor next door has an orange tree, and the leaves and the oranges are falling onto your property. Is that considered an encroachment?
Yes, air rights.
Air right, exactly. Yes, because again, if that tree if that tree is onto the actual roof of your neighbor, right, of your neighbor, that moisture eventually is going to damage the roof, right? And that's an encroachment.
Exactly.
Right. So yeah, what is an easement? You should know it all. Oh, what, Brenda?
Yeah, sometimes utility companies have easements. That's what I had on one of my deals where they had to have access to the owner's property.
Right. And those are actually the actual posts, right? The telephone poles, the wires that behind you, right? On your backyard.
The encroachments, right? The telephone poles.
No, that's an easement, honey, because it needs to come in.
Shared driveways.
Shared driveways.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, but again, brother, you're on the right track. So when the light when the Edison, when the gas company, when the phone company has to come to your property, then yes, that's actually an actual easement thing to go on, because again, that pole belongs to them, and then to go service it back there. Yeah, and same thing, shared driveways, it could be an easement as well, right? Maybe a flag lot, right? When you have actually more than one property, right, in the same lot, right? Like maybe PUDs, right? And they have to share the same driveway to go to the building, the home in the back, in the rear. Okay, so here it is, number 4. Any room additions, structure modifications, or other alterations or repairs made without necessary permits. And again, this is very common as well. A lot of people will add, divide, modify, altered properties without permits, right? Now, would this get them in trouble? No, it was not get them in, again, we're not gonna get people into trouble, right? Because now let me ask you, Brenda, come back.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm
Brenda,
eating. I don't want you to ever see me eating.
If you're gonna eat, you better share with all of us. Brenda.
Yeah.
Brenda, let's say you're buying a home, Brenda, in Long Beach. I know you live in Long Beach, right? And you found this property that is for sale, and of course they added a family room, a bedroom, and a bathroom without permits. But you're buying it below market value. Would that matter to you?
Would it matter? What do you mean, as the buyer?
Yes, as a buyer.
And it's without permits?
Without permits. But again, you're not buying it at top value. You're buying it because, again, since they know that they added the family room, the bathroom, and the bedroom without permits, they're selling it at below market value, not above market value.
I don't think so. No.
But you know, but you already know, you have full knowledge. Look, you're buying something that is not, it might not have value in the near future without permits.
Yeah, that's true. So
that's true.
Yeah, so I might think about that if, you know.
Right. Now, keep in mind, just because people do, or they added actually any additions to their home without permits, it doesn't mean that they didn't do it up to code, right? Because maybe they didn't want to go to the city, right? And go through the hassle. Maybe it's an investor, right? Who has some sort of knowledge of their contractors, and they have some sort of idea what codes are for example, in Southgate, you know, maybe how many feet away to have an outlet, the windows, and you know, they have knowledge already. But they didn't want to go through the city and wait to get a permit and wait for the inspector to come in and revise it and accept it and so on and so on and so on. But again, it might be up to code according to their knowledge, right? But we know that cities, they change their codes on a yearly basis or even monthly basis, depending on their civil codes, right? So regardless what's happening here, right? I don't think a buyer will go to the city and say, you know what, well, I'm buying this property and the seller's selling the property without permits. I never seen it in my life that I've been doing real estate. Again, why would you? Because again, if you want the property, in other words, you're tricking yourself to go to the city. You know what? Why would you? No. Okay. Now, number 5, right? Same thing. What about any not in compliance with building codes? Right, same thing, right? One's without permits, and the other without building codes. So it's very different. Okay. How about 6? Any fill, compacted, or otherwise other property or any portion thereof, right? Or any settling from any cause of slippage, sliding, or other soil problems, right? And it's most likely if you're living on the hill, right? You maybe have a home on a hill that is probably the soil is not really sturdy. It's probably slipping or so on, right? What about any flooding, drainage, or grading problems? What about any major problem, any major damage to the property, or any extraction from any fire, earthquake, flood, or landslides? Yes or no? Or any zoning violations, non-conforming usage violations or setback requirements, right? What about any neighborhood noise problems or other nuisances? Now, when it comes to noises, okay, keep on, this could be very tricky. Okay, it can be very tricky because again, maybe what you believe that is noise to you, it could be a soft melody or harmony to the other seller, right? Maybe to you, actually, I the way for me to fall asleep is to hear the traffic at night, the cars passing by. That will rock me to fall asleep. But maybe to some people, you know what? I hate traffic, the noise, the trucks, the brakes, and the burning the engine. Again, I don't like it. Depends, right? For you, it could be
Ears.
music to my ears. I leave the windows open. I love the noise and running their engines. Yeah, who knows, right? And they always say, if there's a Mexican, there's always noises. There's always throwing parties every weekend, no matter what. I'm playing. Okay, what about any CCNRs or other restrictions or obligations? Okay, and this applies from 12 through 14. It applies for any condominiums, townhouses, or PUDs, or any HOAs, or any communities that have any CCNRs. Okay. So again, make a note from 12. I'm sorry, 12 through 16. I apologize. 12 through 16. It applies mostly. It will apply to any condominium, townhouse, PUD, and any single-family residence that has CCNRs. Okay. So again, any CCNRs, any obligations that are deed restrictions, right? Any homeowners association which may have the authority over the subject property, any common areas such as pools, tennis courts, walkways, or other co-owned and undivided interests in others, yes. Any notice of abatement or citations against the property, yes or no. And any possible lawsuits threatening the seller of affecting the property, claims, damages, and so on, right? So yes or no. And again, if it's yes, Brenda, go ahead.
Sorry, condominiums and what you said?
Townhouse, condominiums, PUDs, and any single family residence that has a CC, an HOA on it. And when I say single family residence, either a gated community, okay, that's most likely you have single family residence, and sometimes either in Paris, Riverside, you might not have actually a community, but you might have an HOA on the property. Okay. Now, what do they take care of the actual landscape on the outside? Okay, so please, and always check your MLSs when it comes to HOAs when you're out of the area. So if any question was answered yes, then to explain here, yes. Okay, now on D1 and D2, okay, now the seller certifies that the property as a close of escrow will be in compliance with section 13113.8 of the Health and Safety Code by having what? Operable smoke detectors which are approved, listed, and installed in accordance with the state fire marshal regulations and applicable local standards, right? And then number 2, the seller also certifies that the property at the close of escrow will be in compliance with section 192.11 of the Health and Safety Codes by having a water heater, tank, brace, anchored, or strap in place in accordance with the applicable law. Okay, now, if this must be done regardless of the type of cell, okay, no one is exempt to have the water heater fully strapped and embraced and anchored, and also have any operable smoke alarms, right, and carbon monoxide devices installed in the property. Okay, now, in case, now there's some agents will not disclose or will not provide CAR form, make a note of that, WHSD, which stands for the water heater smoke detector disclosure. Okay, if they don't provide you with the CAR form WHSD, which is the water heater smoke detector disclosure, it's because they're going based off the TDS. So even though in our SkySlope we do request it and require it, okay, some outside agents will not disclose you or give you that form because it already says here, look, brother or ma'am, okay, the seller will be in compliance by the close of escrow that they will have the smoke detectors, alarms, and everything else, and have the water heater embraced and anchored. Okay, so if you don't get the other one, don't worry, you're okay. Okay, any questions on page 2? All right, let's move on. So page 3, okay, is mostly signatures, any other recommendations made by the agent, okay? So number 3, okay, it says to be completed only if sellers represented by the agent and this transaction. The undersigned, based on the above inquiry of the sellers as to the condition of the property, are based on a reasonably competent and diligent visual inspection of the accessible areas of the property in conjunction with that inquiry. It states the following, okay? So right here, I want you guys to, right here now, we go select here, and just the top one. See attached agent visual inspection disclosure. That's it, nothing else, okay? No need to put any other notes or notations. Just make sure you have your first one selected, because this goes hand to hand with your avid. Because you're just saying, look, I already did my own visual inspection of the property, and I'm attaching my agent visual inspection disclosure, car form AVID, with your TDS, okay? And that's it. So I just go ahead and put your broker's name and your name right there. And that's it, okay? Have been signed, and that's it. Now, keep in mind, this part has a lot of places for the seller and buyer to sign. On top, the middle, and then at the bottom again, okay? So please, and I have seen places that the seller doesn't sign here or signs on top. So on top and middle, okay, buyers need to sign, and buyers and sellers, okay? So any questions on page 3, okay? And then the last paragraph says here, section 1102.3 of the Civil Code provides a buyer with the right to rescind a purchase contract from at least 3 days after the delivery of the disclosure. If delivery occurs after signing the offer of the purchase, if you wish to rescind the contract, you must act within the what? The prescribed period. And again, a real estate broker is qualified to advise on real estate. If you desire legal advice, consult who? An attorney. And this will be a real estate attorney. Okay. Our job, we're going to advise on real estate, right? That's it, on the home. But if they want to consider any legal advice, they need to consult an attorney. Now, my take when it comes to advice, I use the word recommend, encourage. I don't use the word advise. Why is that? Because that word advise, it gets thrown out of context. Now, if I say to you, Brenda, Orena, I'm going to give you legal advice on this property. Right away, by me saying legal advice, I'm acting as a what?
As an attorney.
Exactly, as an attorney. And people always think by you giving advice, especially people who have no knowledge between the word, right? Well, Brenda gave me legal advice on the property. And if you go to court, Brenda, and the judge will ask you, wait a minute, did you give Bob Buyer legal advice when you're not an attorney? No, I gave him advice. And it's your word against theirs. But again, a buyer will say, well, no, she gave me legal advice. So that's why I encourage or I recommend for you to do this. So in case they want to sue me, remember, I encourage you, I recommend it. I never get advice. Because again, if they put that word legal in front of the advice, you choke. And it's going to be hard to convince the judge, you know what, no, Your Honor, I never use the legal word. I probably did advice, but I never use legal advice. And people will say, yeah, legal advice. So be very careful how you use your words with sellers and buyers. So any questions so far on this matter? Yes, Brenda.
So I have like 3 questions. One is, are there any of these forms in Spanish? Yes, right?
No,
like no.
Nothing in Spanish, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. So then let's say that I have a Spanish speaking
buyer
seller, and they need help filling out the forms. can I help them?
No, unless you're a certified interpreter. Yes.
Oh, okay. They have to get an interpreter.
Exactly. Yes. So yeah.
Okay. And what about, okay, so then the interpreter would do all the work of like even explaining of what a public sewer system is.
Yes.
Okay. And then another
again,
question,
you go again on that. You could explain. You could show them again of Google it, right? What it is.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the questions here and there, I would definitely either have an interpreter or have somebody who's bilingual, either a close relative or friend. Look, have someone else help you fill that out. Because again, if you don't translate or you don't interpret the correct words, right? Because sometimes our Spanglish is kind of mixed up with English and Spanish. It could happen, right? And we don't say, well, maybe setback. What is a setback in Spanish?
Right. Yeah.
Algo atrasado. So if you don't say it right, then you might get it wrong. So that's why we got to be very careful. Either have someone else help them in that case. Yeah.
Okay. And then like from a buyer's perspective, once a buyer receives this TDS, in all your years of real estate, have you ever come across any buyer wanting to know how many years a certain item is? How many years old?
No, never. Like the items here, like from the range to the no, nothing. No.
Like, oh, how long? How many years does this dishwasher have if you're gonna leave it, or how many years is this is your roof, or maybe on the roof?
The roof, it's here, Mija. Okay, the roof it is here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the roof is there. Now, keep in mind when it comes to appliances, Brenda, and that's a very good question. Keep in mind that again, okay, for the home inspection company that I use, it's called the Elite Group. Okay, the Elite Group, they go above and beyond when it comes to their home inspections. So what every inspector does, okay, they will get the actual serial number of every appliance, okay, and they'll also give you a website to go to see if that appliance has any recalls. Because again, the serial number is the actual, it has the actual, that when was a appliance built, right? The year built and month. So with the serial number, you should have an idea more or less if it's a year old, 5 years old, or etc. But again, that depends on the actual inspector who you guys use for your home inspections. So it's very crucial to again, if they want to question, well, hey Brenda, how old is that stove or that range, right? And if you have the serial number, you could go to that website, right? And you know, okay, if you have any recalls and when was it built and the month and year as well.
Okay.
So that should definitely help you a lot when it comes to that. Or if you don't get it because you hired a different home inspector, you can always ask the seller. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And what else, man? What was your other question?
Oh, that's it. That's it for now.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. So when it comes to our disclosures and contracts, at one point they had them in Spanish, but that has been taken away, removed. So everything now is in English. English, all the way. Yeah, because there's of course there's Chinese people, Korean, Spanish speaking, so now they make it universal, all English. They don't want to be, just helping one type of ethnicity, Yeah. All right. So let's move on with our different disclosures, and let's go now to the SPQ, car form SPQ, which is a seller's property questionnaire. Okay. And again, seller's property questionnaire, and this also was revised back in 1221, car form SPQ. And this says this form is not a substitute for the real estate transfer disclosure statement. It is used by the seller to provide what additional information when the TDS is completed. If seller is exempt from completing a TDS, seller should complete an exempt seller disclosure, car form ESD, or may use this form instead. I told you guys at the beginning, right? If the sellers, right, are exempt from completing this form, then they got to use what? Car form ESD. And who's exempt? Who's exempt?
Only trustees who have lived in the residence beforehand.
And
no,
probate.
the probate and the trustees who have not lived in the property.
Right.
Yes, trustees who have their, trustees who have net living in the property and probates are exempt from filling out the SPQ and sometimes the TDS as well. Okay. All right. Note to the seller, you are strongly advised to carefully review the disclosure information advisory, card form DIA. Okay. This is another form. Okay. So make a note of that. DIA has another more information about provides more information about the TDS, the SPQ, and the ESD. Okay. Before you complete this seller's property questionnaire, all sellers of California real property are required to provide various disclosures either by contract or by statute or case law. Many disclosures must be made within certain time limits. Timely and throughout disclosures help to reduce disputes and facilitate smooth sales transactions. Okay, so real fast, please take note. When it comes to your disclosures, okay, per contract, seller has 7 days after acceptance to provide to buyer everything. Okay, so again, per contract, I'm talking about the RPA, the RIPA, which is a residential income purchase agreement, the commercial purchase agreement. Okay, any purchase contract, per contract, seller has 7 days after acceptance to provide all disclosures reports to the buyer. Rodrigo, you raise your hand. You're muted, brother. You're muted. You mute. Unmute yourself, please.
I just had a question that I've been wanting to ask since the beginning.
Yes.
It was, I know what obviously we've gone over the transfer disclosure statement in detail. What is the SDQ and the
SPQ? SPQ, brother. SPQ?
What is it exactly?
Okay, the SPQ. The SPQ pretty much goes hand to hand with the TDS, but it goes more into detail about the property. So the TDS is mostly about the actual home itself, the interior of the home, right? And the SPQ is abroad, the property, everything about the property.
And then you mentioned earlier the SDT as well?
No, the ESD.
ESD. Yeah.
ESD, right here, ESD, which is an exempt seller disclosure.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's TDS Tom David Sam, or SPQ Sam Peter Queen, or ESD Elephant Sam David, right?
Okay. They were the same ones I had in my notes. I'm sorry. I just heard it differently.
No, you're fine. Okay. So pretty much, so when it comes to the TDS, okay, it's mostly about the inside of the home and some part of the outside. Okay. But the SPQ is mostly now, it focuses mostly about the property itself, the outside, the property, the home, everything in general. Okay, and then we'll go through some questions that they're asked here as well. Okay. Now, of course, you want to educate your seller more about each form. Of course, you definitely got to give them the card form DIA, which is the Disclosure Information Advisory. Okay, that's card form DIA. Okay. Now, like I was telling you before, again, now, so the seller has 7 days, right, after acceptance to provide everything, disclosures, reports, rent rolls, lease contracts, everything to the buyer, unless, to the contrary, has been negotiated in less time. Okay, now going back to disclosures, okay, when you take a listing, okay, please do not wait until you have an offer accepted to go back to the seller to fill out disclosures. Okay, this is always a mistake that a lot of buyers, a lot of agents who are helping sellers, okay, and wait till they get an offer accepted and go back to their sellers to get all your disclosures filled out. Please do not do that, guys. When you take a listing, okay, now there's two things can happen when you take a listing. Okay, now Let's see who's another call here. Let me pick on someone else. Okay, let's say for example, John, when if you're taking a listing, John, okay, and you know for a fact, John, that this listing is going to be given to you by a friend, a family member, or someone else that is close to you, and you know that this listing is yours, and there's no one else you can compete against, right? I would tell you, John, go ahead and take your listing contract and disclosures to be filled out on the spot, on the time you're there. Not the next day, not the following day. So if you know for a fact, yes, okay, I already spoke to John Doe. He's gonna give me the listing. He's okay with me. He knows me. He knows who I am. Okay, he's okay with my services. I'm gonna go prepared with all my disclosures, every single form, and everything that I need for the listing to be taken. Everything. Okay. Now, if you're gonna compete with someone else, let's say an outside agent, another broker, right? You're competing against someone else to get that listing, then I will not take my disclosures on the spot. I will not waste paper on something that is not guaranteed. You know, it's logic, right? Common sense, right? Of course, I will take my listing contract, my listing contract, my plan of action, my marketing materials, my net sheet, my CMA, and so on. But I will wait until I get the listing contract signed, right? Then, if it's a go, I will say, you know what? Well, now let's make an appointment for tomorrow or the next day, because I now gotta come take pictures of the property, and also I gotta bring some disclosures for you to fill out, Mr. Seller. Is that okay? Okay. Okay. So that's. But again, do not wait until you get an offer accepted, because what if you wait until an offer gets accepted, and the seller left out of vacation, maybe for what's the next holiday coming up? July 4th, right? Independence Day, and you get an offer right before it, but then they're coming to the next week, right? Guess what? You won't have your disclosures to be submitted to the buyer, and now who's holding the process? You, the seller, or the buyer? You are, because it was your fault, because you wanted to wait to get everything. You know, okay, you know, I'd rather wait to get an offer accepted. I don't want to go. I don't want to bother or bug my seller to fill out something that it might not go through. Don't have that mindset. Have the mindset that, you know what, you will get an offer accepted, and you want to get everything ready, set up. So when you get an offer accepted, hey, look, here you go. Here's disclosures. Review them, because now you're working together on a day-by-day basis. And also, you help also what you're doing as well, when you provide disclosures and reports and anything else that the seller wants to disclose, right? In case a buyer doesn't like anything from the disclosure or the report, guess what? You know what, Rodrigo or John, you know what? The buyer saw that your report or something about the property, he didn't like it. We're gonna cancel it tomorrow. And why wait 7 days? Do it immediately on the spot. Your offer got accepted. Here's my disclosures. They know from the beginning what the buyer's buying into. Don't wait 7 days. Get it done immediately. Same thing goes with any term reports, any home inspection reports, anything that's gonna probably you think that it might actually trigger an alarm or a red flag to the buyer, because maybe the house needs work, or maybe the house has a lot of termites, but the seller doesn't want to do any repairs or work on the property. Mr. Buyer, look, here's a report, just for you to be aware. The house is infested. We have tenants with termites, cockroaches, and we're not gonna do any repairs. Buy it as is. You want it? Here it is. You have full knowledge. If you want it, let's move forward. If you don't, then let's move on with some cancellation. Does that make sense to all of you guys? All right. All right. Let's move on. Disclosure limitations. The following are representations made by the seller and are not representations of the agents, if any. This disclosure statement is not a guarantee of any kind by the seller or any agents, and is not a substitute for any inspections or warranties the principals may wish to obtain. This disclosure is not intended to be part of the contract between the buyer and seller unless otherwise specified in writing, which it is, okay? Broker and any real estate licensee or any other person working with or through broker has not verified information provided by the seller. A real estate broker is what is qualified to advise on real estate transactions only. If seller or buyer desire legal advice, they should consult an attorney. Okay, so again, we're not here to verify any permits. We're not here to verify any crime reports. We're not here to verify if the house has the square footage or any additions. We're not here. We're just here to get the report from seller to the buyer's agent and to pass it on. That's it. Okay. Note to the seller, purpose: to tell the buyer about known material or significant items affecting the value or desirability of the property and may help to eliminate misunderstandings about the condition of the property. Okay, now answer based on the actual knowledge and recollection at this time. Something that you do not consider material or significant may be perceived differently by a buyer. Think about what you would want to know if you were buying the property today. Read the questions carefully and take your time. Okay. Now, if you do not understand how to answer a question or what to disclose or how to make a disclosure in response to a question, whether on this form or what, a TDS, you should consult a real estate attorney in California of your choosing. And again, what a broker cannot answer the questions for you or advise you on legal sufficiency of the answers or disclosures you provide. It's right here, folks. It's right here, man. So please do not advise, recommend, encourage people on how to answer the questions. Note to buyer, purpose: to give information about known material or significant items affecting the value or desirability of the property to help to eliminate any misunderstandings about the conditions of the property. Something that you may be a material or significant maybe to you may not be perceived the same way by the seller, right? And again, if something is important to you, be sure to put it in concerns or any questions in writing in card form BMI. And again, sellers can only disclose what they actually know. Seller may not know about any all materials or significant items. And again, sellers' disclosures are not a substitute for your own investigations, personal judgments, or common sense. And again, seller awareness. For each statement below, answer the question, are you seller aware of, by checking yes, either yes or no. There are no limitations unless otherwise specified. Explain any yes answers in the space provided below or in additional comments in paragraph 19, right? And again, the first one, documents. Are you seller aware of any reports, inspections, disclosures, warranties, maintenance, recommendations, estimates, studies, surveys, or other disclosures, whether prepared by in the past or present, including any previous transaction pertaining to or to the repairs or the property or any improvements of this property in the past, now proposed, or easements, encroachment, boundary disputes affecting the property, whether oral or in writing, or whether or not provided by the seller. Yes or no, right? So again, we talk about those again, and again, any home inspections, termite, surveys, appraisals, anything before, past, or present, right? Again, based on your knowledge, Mr. Seller. If you don't know it, do not make it up. Okay, and here are the questions again. Within the last 3 years, right? The death of any occupant on the property, upon the property. Okay, so when it comes to the property, okay, a lot of sellers, the property only think of their home. That's my property. No, the property means from the front to the backyard, side yards, inside and out. Okay, so we're talking about the entire parcel of the property. So has anybody died in the last 3 years? Yes or no? Okay, now it could be, it doesn't matter the cause of death. It's just somebody died on the property. What if somebody got run over and that person was hit with the impact and landed into your property and they died? Is that considered somebody died in the property in the last 3 years? Right? Yes? If that happens, kick them to the curb. Now they didn't die in the property. I'm pleased. It's a joke. Okay, but yes. Okay, if somebody gets hit with an impact and they land on your property, yes. Okay, and they die, yes. Okay. Any order of the government health official identifying the property as being contaminated by methamphetamine? Yes or no, right? If yes, attach the order, right? Brenda, you have a question, Brenda? Brenda, question? Okay. The release of an illegal controlled substance on or beneath the property. Okay, any cocaine, marijuana, anything like that, any illegal substance, right? Whether the property is located in adjacent on the industrial zone, yes or no, right? What is considered an industrial zone?
Near factories?
Factories, warehouses, yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, you got it right. Again, whether a zone or district allowing manufacturing, commercial, or food usage, right? Same thing. Whether the property is affected by any nuisances created by industrial zone, could be a lot of trucks, trailers, right? Airports, airplanes, etc. Whether the property is located within 1 mile of the formal federal or state ordinance location, right? In general, an area used for military training purposes that may contain potential explosive munitions, right there. Yes or no? Whether the property is a condominium or located in a planned unit development or other common interest subdivision, yes or no? And again, we talk about this on TDS, right? If it has an HOA or CCNRs. Now, what is a CCNRs? What is CCNRs?
Covenants, conditions, and restrictions.
Exactly, yes, it is. And the covenants, wait, yeah, covenants, conditions, and restrictions. Okay, that's gonna be your Bible for your townhouse, condo, or any community that has an HOA, because that's your do's and don'ts, what you're allowed to do in a property. Okay, your restrictions, in other words, okay, your covenants. Okay, maybe for example, maybe your buyer, for example, wants to buy a property to do Airbnb or to rent it out, but maybe the CCNRs do not allow any rentals in the community, and they only want nothing but homeowners in the property. Because if once you have rentals, most likely that will depreciate the value, right? Or make the community not in good conditions, because again, some tenants don't care for the property, right? What else? Yeah, so maybe they want to have pets. Maybe they want to have big dog, a big dog who weighs 70 pounds, and they don't allow it. Maybe they only allow small chihuahuas or little Yorkies or cats, right? That could be. Maybe you have a smoker who smokes a lot. Well, guess what? They don't allow smoking of any kind. It could be a reason not to buy the property. So that's why it's very crucial as well to go through those CCNRs and how you buy read them and go through them as well. Okay. Because again, a lot of agents just pass it on here, sign there, good to go. And there's been cases that people want to rent, smoke, pets, or any other kind, right? And guess what? Or maybe they charge for parking for your carport besides your HOA. And this happens. What's included in the HOA, the CCNRs, right? Water, trash, gas, light, who knows? So all that you gotta be in mind. You take that into consideration with your buyers as well. Okay, so again, if it's a yes, they need to explain on page 2. Any insurance claims affecting the property in the past 5 years. Now, any claims in the past 5 years, again, it could be a fire, a theft, any flood, any claim, regardless of what it is, okay, in the past 5 years. Now, how can a buyer be aware or have more knowledge in case the seller says no to this question? Because again, maybe the seller doesn't. Maybe the seller who bought the property a year ago, right, has no claims in the past year, right? But what about before the last 4 years? Maybe there was a claim. Now let me ask you: how would a claim affect the property? How would a claim affect the property?
If it was fire.
Okay, yes.
Water, flood damage.
So how would that affect the property, Brenda?
It would affect the value because of the damage.
Okay.
And the structure.
So let's say it was fire, the house got caught on fire 4 years, actually five years ago, right? Or 4 years ago. But the new owner who's been there for a year ago had no knowledge about this. But again, the fire, let's say the kitchen got caught on fire and they fix it up, they remodel it, they put new floorings, new cabinetry, new walls, new everything. And again, I don't know. So how would that affect the value of their home?
Would it, I would think maybe insurance policies, maybe.
Okay, you're in the right track.
Their premium would be higher, or
Exactly. Yes, that's correct. Premium will be high. Just like us, you know, we all, who's the license, driver license? We drive, right? Yes. So if you get a ticket, right? Does the ticket goes to the car if you're speeding, or it goes to you, the person?
It goes to you, the driver.
To you, right? The person. And what happens to your premium, your insurance? It goes up, right? For speeding and everything else, right? Same thing with the house. If there's any possible claims in the property, it doesn't go to the owner. It sticks on the property. It's different. So any claims that were done onto the property, it would affect the property itself. It would not affect, even though the owner paid for the high premium, right? But again, it stays in the property, not to the owner. So even though there's a new owner, the house is already tainted or has a stain with something that has a claim on the property. Again, fire, theft, flood, anything else that the insurance came in, had to do to the replace, repair, or pay out, right? So now there's ways that you can help your buyer how to obtain a report for the home they're buying. And that's called a clue report, CLUE report, clue report. And if you're like me, you might just think about Blue's Clues. Yeah, remember that little show with the kids and the little dog? I can't remember right there. You used to watch that show, huh, Norma? So yeah, so again, but again, out of the joke again, it's called a clue report, CLUE report, and that report, your agent, your insurance agent can provide you a report. Okay, that's not, in other words, it's like a report, a credit report for that home. Okay, so if there was any claims, again, that will show you, it's going to show there the actual claims in the past 5 years or more. Now, keep in mind, if the house has many claims in the past, a lot of agencies will not cover that property. Again, mostly like Farmers, State Farm, Mercury, and other top leading agencies will not insure that property because they're already at risk. So it might be something they got to go with some either outside agency, right? Well, Rodrigo, you know about insurance, brother. Talk to me, man. Help us out, man.
Yeah, you'd go with the broker to try to find pretty much the bottom of the barrel of insurance companies to make sure that the insured is covered to whatever they're needing. For certain situations like people who have like a lot of claims, they would end up paying like a lot more in premium.
Right. So let me ask you, because okay, for all you guys, Rodrigo's an insurance agent before, not no more. Now, did you ever deal with those with the actual claims?
So no, most of that stuff gets sent to the claims department. Similar to how, we're not attorneys, we're not allowed to give attorney advice. Licensed appraisers are the only people who can talk about the claims. Right. So usually that stuff is referred out to those people.
Okay. Yes, Eddie?
When I first learned about clue reports, it was obviously from one of your classes. I asked the insurance agent, because it'll be the first time I'm asking for one. I said, hey, can I get a clue report? And he goes, well, why do you want to do that? If we do that, then that could bring up something and then he won't be able to get insured. Like, okay, what's the point of me asking for the clue report if they're not going to give it to me?
Usually the clue report is only initiated at the beginning of the person insuring. So it doesn't happen usually mid-term. And usually insurance agencies are more afraid to rerun it because then they could potentially lose a customer if they have a claim and their insurance skyrockets. It's going to fall on them.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now going back to that, again, yeah, they might lose that buyer or agent or the prospect insured person, right? But now let me ask you, wouldn't it be safer to be aware from the get-go that this property might not qualify for the regular premium, that you got to go again to the bottom of the barrel to get that insured?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah. All right, guys. So let's see. Excuse me. Okay, let's go back. And we're mostly. Let's see. Vamos a ver, where are we? Okay. And on the last 3, any matters affecting the title of the property. Again, any clouds, right? Any list pendants, mechanics liens, any other liens on the property, right? They could affect the selling of the property, right? With any matters affecting title, right? Any material facts or defects affecting the property not otherwise disclosed to buyer, right? And then the last one, any plumbing fixtures on the property that are not compliant plumbing fixtures as defined as Civil Code 1101.3, right? Yes or no? So we'll go ahead and stop right here and we'll resume next week. But any questions so far when it comes to the TDS and the SPQ? Brenda? No? Norma? How are you, Norma? How you been, Norma?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Good to see you again, Norma. Don't be a ghost, okay? You better come to the office. All right. So are we good? We covered? Yes?